Hello, my name is Steve Herman, and I'm the author of Mediumship Mastery, the ultimate guide to mechanics of receiving spirit communication, which is available on Amazon. If you're interested in mediumship development, you've come to the right place, because the whole purpose of this YouTube channel and this video that you're watching is mediumship education. So smack that subscribe button below if you're interested in development as a medium. And check out all my videos on mediumship development. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about one aspect of spirit communication that sometimes is a bit challenging for someone who initially, as a student medium, begins to do sessions one-on-one with other people, or even maybe they're doing platform work. They're standing up at a spiritualist church or another situation, and they're bringing through in front of an audience spirit people. So what happens when we work with the spirit world? We connect with higher spirits. We can connect with lower spirits too. But generally speaking, the higher spirits, the higher personalities, they're in charge of what takes place. So if you're going about it the right way, it's all going to be planned out beforehand. But it can be very challenging for a medium if they lack experience. When they're working, they might be having guidance, practical advice coming through from the spirit world, and they start describing a spirit grandmother coming through, and the next thing they know, an uncle's popping in. And then it's like it's out of control. Another grandmother steps in, and an aunt, and some strange individual, and they're not even sure who it is. And they've got all these spirits, multiple individuals from the spirit world coming in all at once. Have you had that happen? And you find that a bit challenging? Well, it's not really challenging if you know what you're doing, you've got experience, this type of thing. But someone who's new, it can really throw them off. So when we talk about spirit communication, we have to understand that they want to expedite things. They want to have the maximum impact upon a person in terms of benefiting the individual who's the recipient. Now, a session's not just for those of us here in this physical world, it's also for the people in the spirit world. And they do set the agenda, despite who we want to hear from, despite what we want to hear. They're pretty much going to do what they want to do. They'll certainly try to help us. Generally, someone's major questions or concerns are going to be covered, usually without them even having to ask. But when it comes to mediumship, we're connecting with the spirit world. And let's just say we do have a grandmother come through. Now, that grandmother may be speaking on the behalf of a whole group of individuals in the spirit world, relatives, acquaintances, and friends, and others connected to the recipient. But the grandmother is the one that comes in. They have her do the talking. And keep in mind, that grandmother, she hasn't done it before. So she's got to learn the process. I mean, she's permitted to do it. She's vetted. They allow her to come through. The medium has a team of specialists, helpers who facilitate all of this. And the individuals, the recipient, typically has guardians or guides in the spirit world who are there to provide spiritual guidance. And they don't necessarily come through during a session, but they'll have the grandmother do the talking. So that grandmother, who maybe is a really nice lady, she's not necessarily that evolved spiritually. So some of that advice, if not a lot of that information, will be coming in really from guides through the grandmother who will function as a medium for other individuals, right? It's all about being an intermediary. Now, if you've got a lot of people there and they all want their say, what's going to happen is you will have other people stepping in. When you're working as a medium, if you bring in just, let's say, one individual from the spirit world, usually, if you concentrate on that individual, what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of details, a lot of evidence. That individual can really get into the story of their life, things about their life, the reasons why they're coming through. They're very relevant, very pertinent, and really beneficial that will help both the recipient of the communication and also will help the spirit coming through. And what we usually see too, let's just say the grandmother is the one who's coming through during the session. Well, maybe she's a really strong-minded, strong-willed, extroverted individual. And maybe there's a pressing need for her to come through as well. But someone who's really got certain types of personalities, extroverted, maybe you have someone, they're a performer, they're just used to dealing with people, connecting with people, communicating, they're a good communicator. Their personality type, those attributes, make an ideal spirit communicator. That's not to say someone who's shy and introverted won't come through, but there's definitely certain personality types that it's easier for them to come through. Of course, if the spirit is on the same page, the same wavelength mentally, energetically as the medium, it's also going to be easier for certain spirits to come through particular mediums. But we see one strong energy, one strong spirit will come through. Others can piggyback off of that spirit. And we see this happen all the time. Sometimes someone who's novice, they're starting to open up. And what happens? You have one spirit coming, let's say it's the grandmother, and then the next thing they know, there's the mother is also coming on the same energy as that grandmother. And sometimes they get them mixed up. One spirit contact blends into another. Now, with experience, you're going to, as a student medium, on a subtle level, be able to discern when that takes place, when there's a shift. You may be describing the grandmother. The next thing you know, you realize, wait a minute, I'm describing someone else here. This is the someone who's also a mother, who's like the grandmother in some ways. But you're going to be able to very distinctly be able to tell the difference. But when you have multiple people coming in, your team of individuals in the spirit world, they're also learning how to work with you. And it's really important that they regulate how things work. Who comes in, and also, if you've got a lot of different people stepping in, that's not a bad thing necessarily, but just realize it's not always going to be as detailed or as in depth for each of the individuals who steps in. In some ways, it's a very good thing, depending on what needs to be done, to stick with one individual in spirit and really strongly, concisely allow that individual to come through from the spirit world. Now, on the other hand, you might have 8, 10 people come in, and each one of them, provides a bit of evidence, so the individual conclusively is able to recognize who the communicators are. And they usually will have different things that they want to say. Sometimes it's just there that they love the recipient, that they're supportive of the individual coming through. It's all about love. It's all about connecting. There's a reason why they're there supporting the recipient. Of course, the recipient's going to support them too, hopefully. It's all about love. It's all about support. We don't know the overall picture. As a medium, be a good medium. Be a good intermediary. Don't worry too much about things. Now, your discipline as a medium will increase, will improve over time with practice, with perseverance. So don't get discouraged. So you might feel sometimes challenged because all these people are stepping in. Well, mentally connect with one of them and keep that connection mentally. Mentally, just focus in, but also be flexible in allowing others to step in. Don't feel that you're doing something wrong, because it's a short period of time that you might be working with the recipient, and a lot of people there, it's such a blessing to be able to communicate with your loved one or someone you dearly care about here in this physical world. So even if they just come in and are just briefly able to say something, and you're able to describe them a bit, for that individual in the spirit world, it's such a big deal. It is so important for them and beneficial. We don't see the full picture. As you discipline your mediumship and work with it more, you'll be in control over what's happening. Your spirit helpers will also be able to work with your energies, and you're going to find overall, as you grow as a medium, those of you who are inexperienced, you're going to see the process of spirit communication, the structure of how you're going about the sessions over the content of the session will evolve as you evolve with your mediumship. Don't worry about, I've got to do it a certain way, I've got to do this one formula. The mind works very well with formulas, doesn't it? Sometimes educationally it's nice to have this structure. We've got to have it this, step by step. I've got to have a checklist of what I describe with those coming through from spirit. But we don't want to be in a box, and we don't want to be rigid about it. The world of spirit, they have things in control. They know where you're at as a medium, and they will go out of their way to help you. I'm really into the teaching aspect of mediumship, and I've seen so many students over the decades really evolve with their mediumship significantly. It's amazing to see what takes place with spirit communication. And as a medium, have the right motivation, the intention of you're there because you want to help others. It's all about love and healing. And I'm really into the teaching aspect of mediumship. So certainly if you have any questions about mediumship, feel free to get hold of me. Put your comments below. Hit that like button. Smack that subscription button. Subscribe, the big red button on YouTube. And certainly, if you're interested in any aspect of communication, I'm definitely here to work with you. I teach a lot of online as well as in-person courses all over the place internationally. So thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of you.